What's up, guys? Today we're checking out Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition HD on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I will get everyone handheld footage of this as well, as people have been curious about games in handheld mode. This one is an interesting one because, of course, as we all know, this is the cell phone version of the game, or at least that's where it originated. It was built to go to cell phones and kind of reach a wider audience. Final Fantasy 15, it's pretty clear, it cost them a lot of money to make this game, specifically the Luminous engine that was used, which seems to be, anyway, just for Final Fantasy 15 at this point, as they are developing a lot of their other games on Unreal Engine 4 right now, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy 7 Remake. It seemed like this cost them a lot of money. Cell phones made a lot of sense to go to, but now it's also kind of come full circle, made its way now to consoles for whatever reason. Xbox One and PS4 is a weirder situation because you can get the full game, probably for cheaper, actually, at this point. And now here we are on the Nintendo Switch. All kinds of Final Fantasy 15 controversy over that anyway, because a lot of people want the full game. I get it. But this has now released. It's supposed to be $29.99, but there's like an introductory like discount to where it's like $17.99. So I just went ahead and picked it up, and I figured I'd check it out and let you guys know what I think of it so far. I played it on cell phones, and for being a cell phone experience, it was pretty good. It wasn't bad. I didn't expect a full Final Fantasy 15 on my Galaxy S7 or whatnot, so I was fine with it. This is different, though, because it's on the Switch. Let's talk a bit about this game. There's a few things I do like about it, and some things I don't, which we'll talk about here. There are some interesting options. They do have achievements, by the way. They carried those over here, so they do have achievements that you can get when you're playing through it and everything. They don't really do much other than just be achievements. I mean, there's not like a gamer score, for example, or trophies count or anything. You pretty much go through, you get achievements, and you kind of go about your time. They also have an interesting option to play around with rumble sensitivity, whereas if you use the left stick, I don't know if you can hear that, it'll rumble more or it'll rumble less. Intensity is controllable, which is kind of neat. That's not something you usually see. Subtitles, of course, and then you can also turn the compass on and off, and they have a how to play thing at the bottom. Note, the D-pad does not seem to work at all. So there's that. If you like the D-pad, I'm sorry. So let's actually jump out here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this game. This is earlier on, so you don't have to worry about, if you haven't really played it or Final Fantasy 15 at all, you shouldn't be too worried about being spoiled. This is still early in the game. Now, of course, I'm running around. I just fought a bunch of critters, as they call them, little scorpions and stuff, and stray dogs, essentially, because they were kind of terrorizing the local people and everything here. So I'm waiting for the car to get fixed. And I'm kind of running around here. Something right off the bat I'm going to tell you I'm not a fan of for this version of the game. I don't think it's different for any of them, really. So there you go. I just got a recipe. They do try to emulate as much of the full Final Fantasy 15 as they can. The right stick does not work at all. And when I'm running around, I keep just instinctively using the right stick to move the camera and look around. The camera is pretty much fixed. You can, of course, look at your map, right? You can, wow, that's very sensitive, actually, there. You can jump all the way around your map if you want. But the right stick does not work, or in the overworld. Actually, I should be going to that campsite. Let me go there. So, like, I'm thinking, I'm, like, running around the corner here, right? And I'm like, oh, I'll move the right stick to see what's there. And I can't. That is disappointing. I will say that. I mean, I'm used to Final Fantasy 15, the full version, because I do like that game. I know it's some people do, some people don't. I do like the Final Fantasy 15, but the camera is fixed. It's a little weird. I guess for being on the cell phone, I guess it made sense, but here it's like, I mean, you already took the controls and kind of worked them in. It would have been nice to be able to move the camera around. So we're actually setting up camp here. Of course, he's taking pictures, and we have Ignis who will be setting up and cooking, because we got that new recipe. So here he is thinking about his recipe. You know, he's got it. Bam, and he made it. So it does still have a lot of that stuff from the full Final Fantasy 15 in this, which is cool. So this is it's just an interesting setup. They definitely, like I said, are trying to sell more of them. So we're setting up camp, and what we're going to end up doing is, they're gonna gain their experience here. You gain your experience when you go to like campsites and everything. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to find a much larger enemy, and that's the whole point of what we're doing now, kind of our quest currently. So we saw it fly overhead. It was like a big bird monster animal thing, and now we're running towards it. We got the arrow at the bottom, shows us where to go. And when we get into battle, I want to point a few things out. I noticed that there seems to be hitches in the frame rate during battle. It happened a lot when there was a lot of stuff going on screen, a lot of enemies, but it was definitely something I could notice. Like, I could notice that there was frame rate issues, which is odd. Now, they could, of course, fix that in a patch down the road, but it kind of caught me off guard a bit because this, I figured, would be a game that would come over to the Switch and it would do well performance-wise. But I'll kind of point it out as we go here. So the ally technique, this technique will automatically be used by your ally in battle. Every ally provides different support capabilities. So we'll press B, and he'll actually use the, what is it, Dawn Hammer, I think, instead of Flash very quickly. So you slash there. And you do have you have like a roll, parry, and everything. And then you use Y to attack. You also use Y to talk to people as well, which is, I don't know, I'm so used to pressing A, I guess, to talk to people, but they went with Y, so that's fine. I guess we have a Warp Strike, of course, boom, we'll hit them with Warp Strike. So you do have a lot of that from the full version. They really did try to make this closer to it, just with obviously different visuals and everything for phones. But I do think if you have the option of getting it on PS4, a PC, or an Xbox One, that's probably, been your best experience. But I have talked to some people who are really into the Final Fantasy 15 series, like the universe and everything that they've kind of made here, and they actually like this version. They say it's kind of fun. It was something they played on their cell phone and they liked it. But again, if you've never experienced it, you might be better off there. But I guess if you only have a Switch or you only have a cell phone to play with, I guess this is what you're going to play. And you can still get the idea of the story. It's all there, essentially. But, of course, it's looks different visually. You don't get the same experience with the world since you can't look around with the right stick, which is something that is just still weird to me. You're going to catch yourself moving the right stick a lot when you're running around. So we're actually just kind of beating up this Bloodhorn over and over again. And, like, this would be a good spot for me to move the camera around. You can't. Let me keep hitting him. We're just going to keep hitting him until he's done. This is early on, so you don't really have a ton to do. And there's actually not the frame rate seems fine now, but I think we have a battle coming up where I'll get into some wild encounters and be able to show you there a little more. It seemed to happen when there were a lot of enemies and I would Warp Strike into a group of them. It would definitely have like this hitch and stutter. Alright, so the Bloodhorn is defeated. I get 406 experience, a Shattered Timepiece, and another 50 for defeating them. So I did that. Now I'm going to actually go back. I'm going to get the car back because it should be done now. And then I guess we'll kind of move on with the game from there. And again, this is kind of a nice spot where I'd like to be able to move the camera because it's like pointing that way. You do have a map at least I can kind of look at, but let's go back. We'll get the car and then we'll kind of move on to the next part. So we finished that chapter or that part of the quest and everything. They give us a little screen here where they level up. And you know what? I actually don't mind the visual style as much. I know there are a lot of people who thought the visuals and stuff look really funny. I don't think they look that bad actually here on, just looking at it right now on my monitor. It looks cleaned up. Like I would expect the cell phone app and everything to be blown up and look really bad. But to be fair to them, they said it's HD and it actually looks clean around the edges, especially like a lot of Switch games that get ported and stuff. You'll notice aliasing issues. Not so much with this one, so I'll at least give them credit there. They seem to do a pretty good job upscaling it or just fixing the way it looks on the screen when blown up. Because I was concerned about that. I will be honest. I was a little concerned about how that was going to go down. So I can at least look around now with L. You press L button and R button to steer. And you can move the. I can now move the camera with the left stick. Again, the right stick. They just don't like the right stick at all. So we're gonna. I guess we're going to. Where are we going? Hammerhead. Oh wait, I can steer. So I can kind of steer like this. They do have the rumble. The rumble does kind of function right now while I'm steering specifically. And, it goes with the intensity of what you have it set up. So I guess we'll keep driving, and then we'll see if we get into a battle. So if I'm playing and I want to run away from, like, the town that I'm in like this, it keeps steering me back. So, that was something else. And in the full 15, you can just start running around and go wherever you want. Not as much so far in this one. It kind of steers you around and tries to get you to go in a certain direction and everything. I'm kind of running around collecting stuff. They do have side quests and everything to do. And at this point, I'm told to just kind of get back in the car and drive a little further to deliver something else. So they keep you kind of on track pretty much the whole way. Okay, so we're in battle with quite a few enemies right now. We're kind of working through a quest currently, and it's interesting the way it works. From what I can tell is right now anyway, right there, like you can see right there, when a lot of stuff is happening, it just seems to kind of stutter in the middle of battle, and it's almost like if there's like a lot of stuff happening with like when you're warp striking or parrying. It's something I've noticed where it almost just kind of hitches or struggles at times. It's very weird. I don't know if if it's an optimization thing, because I don't really see this game as being like a heavily obviously a very tough game to run or anything. But it seems to happen when there's just a lot of enemies on screen and you maybe do a warp strike or you parry, or just in general, sometimes it'll just kind of have this weird momentary hitch when you're playing. And it's almost like the game is trying to catch up to itself, it feels like. It's very weird. But you'll mostly see that in bigger battles when a lot of things are on screen. Like when I was fighting that large boss, it wasn't nothing really crazy happening when it came to frame rate, so it was fine. It just seems to be when you have just a lot of smaller enemies on screen and maybe you hit like a cool move or something that makes a lot of light and maybe makes the system work a little harder, is when it kind of just hitches and you kind of feel just the slowdown of the game. Now you do equip weapons and everything, so as you get new weapons you equip them, accessories for all of your different characters as you go through. So they do still at least have all of that. They do have like a skill tree as well as you get AP that you can unlock. So it seems like, I wish this is something else. I wish I could kind of zoom out a bit, but I guess they kind of have it all worked in. And the skill tree it's fairly large. I mean, the skill trees in 15 are pretty big, so bigger than this, but this isn't exactly a small skill tree. So I'll give them credit on that as well. There's a lot of stuff to unlock and kind of work through. And you can see I've unlocked a few already. Chain Fury, and then you also unlock abilities for the other characters. You can see them with their faces there and everything. So there is a lot of stuff to kind of work through in the game while you're playing as you build up AP, which AP does get thrown at you pretty well. Like you actually get quite a bit of AP, and I mean it looks like there's a lot of stuff to unlock for that. So I'm going to jump you guys over to handheld mode now. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you like, dislike if not. This is Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition HD on the Switch. It's available now. It's also on the PS4 and the Xbox One. So if you're a big Final Fantasy 15 fan, might be worth checking out. It's also on cell phones if you haven't already played it there. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.